Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Sagittarius November. Yay! Start of Sagittarius in November. November 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. And we're going to use the William Blake Tarot today. Now, William Blake was an Englishman who was born in the mid-1700s, I think, and then died around about 1820 from memory. He was a mystic. He was also a brilliant mystical poet, up there with the likes of Shakespeare, in my humble opinion. And he was a prolific artist, which also was imbued with his mystical outlook and his expression of what he saw divine archetypes existing in the world. And they are contained in these cards here. And these cards are a representation of some of his artwork that he produced. So as a consequence of that, you will have a very creative response to the art, I think. Now, I might use my pen to point out some of the stuff that I find interesting in it. You, of course, may see things that I'm overlooking or which I don't see. And, of course, I'll give a reading and point out what I think the artwork, what's going on with the artwork. But, of course, you can come up with your own view of it. That's the whole thing about art, isn't it? And about mysticism in particular and spirituality. Anyway, it's not a religious deck at all, pleased to say, but it is very mystical in my opinion. Now, I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people from different countries around the world by means of FaceTime and Skype over the course of the last month. And if you're interested to find out what's involved in that, check out the description below. I've also done a number of healings as well. Now, when I was born, I was given the gifts of clairvoyance and also of healing. But healing, which comes through me and not from me, as you'd understand the difference there, that's provided on the basis that I can get no return for it myself. So healing is offered for free, without any catch. Nothing will be sold or recommended or anything like that. Readings, of course, I need to charge for, and the prices are set out in the web link to my website that's in there. It's got the major currencies. But at the end of the video, you should have a look at the website anyway, because there's more interesting stuff on the website, or stuff that you might find interesting anyway. But now let's get the 5 cards underway for you. Now, he uses suits such as painting, music, science and poetry, which are ways in which the divine thought can express itself through humans, among others, are they not? So let's see what there are and get it underway. What's this first one? The 6 of music. Speaking of, woman of science. Angel of science. Ace of poetry. And finally, what is there here? Let's dig deep into what's going on in this one. The 5 of poetry. Well, why don't you and I get together now? Come sit down here next to me. We'll feast on the artwork in these cards together while I do the reading for you. I love doing your readings for you, really I do. You are so interesting. Now let's have a look at this 5 of poetry that's down here. And it's given the title of Strife, but let's have a look at the imagery first. I studied William Blake in my last year of high school in English literature. And fascinating poet. Didn't do a lot with his art, of course. But I would say that this card here, looking at the image here, you see the falling angel Lucifer and some sort of an elephant creature that's there. Now, Lucifer is a fallen aspect of the God within you, whom you must do spiritual battle with. Now, normally elephants symbolize positive qualities such as intelligence and longevity. And actually in medieval art, they were a symbol of the Christ. However, this is a sort of a mock-up of an elephant to represent some sort of weird perversion of those qualities, just as Lucifer is a mock-up, a weird perversion of God. Now, both figures are falling head downwards, which I think signifies spiritual fall. And Lucifer's outstretched arms mock resurrection, especially since he bears weapons in both arms. Now, the figures could be locked in battle amongst themselves, but more likely they are comrades. They represent the spiritual adversities that you must battle within yourself. And you know what they are. Now, the lightning flashes here are interesting, really, aren't they? Because they are a sort of a pun on the meaning of Lucifer's name. The Latin, which I also did at school for 8 years, it was beaten into me. The Latin for light is lux, and combinations of it are Lucifer and what have you. So there's an element there. But the illumination that these lightning things bring, they are the light of truth. Their celestial fire reveals Lucifer and his animal alter ego to be aspects of Satan. Now, astrologically, what do I have here? I have, in this position with these cards, I have Saturn in Leo here. Now, sadly, Saturn and Leo do not get on because Saturn can be very constricting sometimes and Leo wants to be very creative and expansive. So I think what's happening here is there is an energy which is coming into your life, or which is around here for a moment, which erupts with change, conflict and struggle. But it also brings the opportunity for expansion and renewal for you. Now, internally, the fiery energy that I see here, it sets fire to a restlessness that doesn't want to be held back. Now, on the outside, the 5 can create chaos in different aspects of your life. It signals a challenging yet very energetic time that is exciting, maybe a little bit scary from time to time, maybe a bit confusing from time to time, but everything seems to be shifting and moving in different directions. The calm, comfortable place that you once enjoyed is starting to rumble like an earthquake underneath. But the key to this energy is to hold on to your spiritual center as both the inner and outer self. They confront change and they navigate conflict, so you get through these things. You see, holding your spiritual center actually has nothing to do with your ego, that is, that character that you have built up over the years. Your spiritual center is your inner personal power, where you can find peace and balance during any unsettling period of life. And the gift of this energy is rebirth into a new identity, a lifestyle, or a path. When this energy shows up for you at this time, you are going to experience change, maybe a little bit of struggle and transition in your life. But if you are up to the challenge, and I have no doubt or reason to think that you are not, then this is going to generate for you breakthroughs in your lifestyle, values, and ideas. This is actually confronting you to burn away any outgrown beliefs and patterns. And this is going to allow you to move forward and grow. This is inviting you to participate and test your abilities in life's games of competition with people, with events, rivalry with other people. You will be successful. My God, it's hard to be humble when you're so great. The Sagittarius is always great. But this powerful energy is going to push you, I think, to new heights in your career. Great for relationships and for achieving things and for achievements in general. Now, I will be the first to admit that it is not an easy energy to manage, but I'm sure you can, and you will empower yourself and your life. Now let's have a look to see what's coming up next, and it is what? Well, what's above it? Let's have a look there and see. Oh, okay. Gee, there's a lot of Virgo and a lot of Libra around here. So they are going to be important to you, no doubt about it. What have we got in the painting that's here? Well, I would say that here it's what, 1, 2, 3, the triple. Feminine is involved in scientific pursuits, bathing in the glow of illumination from above that's there. Now the comet in the window, I think that symbolizes the love of knowledge and the cosmic energy that I think characterizes this energy completely. This 7-pointed star that's here, well, that can be interpreted as Sophia, which is wisdom, often called the goddess of wisdom. And she has, in mythology, 7 legendary priestesses who founded the oracle shrines to her all around the ancient world. The telescope that we see here, this old-fashioned sort of telescope, it indicates an ability to see at a distance. Now, this is the part of yourself, or it could be somebody else, of course, and even though I'm calling it a female, these cards can be male as well. And it could also refer to another person who researches and studies things with care. Is that what you're doing at the moment? Who's got great values and ideas, who is looking to the future and turning your back on what has not worked in the past. Now, this woman of science, I would say, she integrates what is possible. She looks to the big picture of things. She wants to take an overview of things, but also with a care for details. It's as if you're going through the period of laying the groundwork for something now. Now, I think that you'll freely offer your ideas and knowledge to other people. You could be an excellent teacher, a counselor. You might just be giving advice to your friends. Very good for people involved in business, and I think you'll be highly disciplined. And unusually for you, I think there could well be an attention to detail. Communication and truth are going to be central to your relationships, and you'll see easily through people who are trying to mislead you or deceive you. And you're going to judge events and people with a very sharp mind and maybe even a sharp tongue. You may be emotionally detached as you set about pursuing particular projects because you will be determined to maintain your perspective on things. Look, I'd go so far as to say that you will be quite a visionary. But you won't be holding back and giving your opinions out to people. You'll have a great degree of intellectual curiosity, which can be a blessing and a fault. Now, the shadow side of this is that you could be very rigid and unyielding and looking to the principle rather than to the practice of things. But definitely you're going to have an answer for everything. Surprise, surprise. Now, abutting onto her is this. And this may well be, this is really quite straightforward. Is it straightforward? What's that say? Quis basin demonstrated. Well, not only did I do William Blake at school, I also had 8 years of Latin beaten into me. So I can actually translate that, and basically this quis means who, demonstrated, can demonstrate, basin, the structure. So who can demonstrate, who can prove the structure? That's a good question because it's up in the clouds, isn't it? And when do you see something like that? Actually, the angel of science, the angel is not formed. I would say that the angel is this bead of white light that's around there. And here we have a lot of air everywhere, air everywhere. What's important is that you have ideas, and you are going to be full of ideas, but the challenge for you is to make sure that ideas are going to be made tangible. And there could be a risk of you jumping from one idea to the next idea to the next idea on the basis that any of the ideas that you have are good, but what you end up then is with a lot of activity, but not a lot of progress, if you understand what I mean. And I don't mean any disrespect from that. What's important is to look at something, analyze it. If it's worthwhile to do it, by doing it, start to implement it, get an action plan. Then if it doesn't work, go to plan B. Don't cut things off before they even start. Now, this angel of science says that you are going to be intelligent, of course, fearless and courageous. And you'll stand before what is an unknown future, looking at it straight in the eye. Well, your energetic spirit, I think, is ready to test and to develop your intellectual skills out in the world of opportunity and challenge. You know, your brilliant and observant mind will be curious about the world and how it works. And that means the politics of it as well. Now, you will have the gift of the gab, and you'll be articulate, and you'll use reason and logic to analyze and check out every situation. You'll be determined, motivated, and ready to take action, to combine your ideas and make them tangible, as long as you don't just jump from one to the other to the other. Now, you will be an original thinker. And you'll believe in yourself. You'll have high self-esteem, and you won't be concerned with other people's opinions. In fact, you'll fight and take risks for what you believe in. Now, your gift of being able to see through people and things will enable you to view what might be problematic situations and challenges from a very wide perspective. Now, your challenge at this time, I would say, is to remain true to yourself while experiencing and dealing with the events of life. Now, do you know, your brilliant mind can get distracted and scrambled if you allow yourself to fall from your true path. And do remember that you are, as we all are, a student of life, living in the classroom of the world, developing and integrating your intellect, maturity, and purpose. Your task, I think, during this month is to bring your intellectual truth into the realm of matter, grounding and manifesting. You know, all this air around here, that is going to breathe in new ideas. It's going to breathe into your intellect, and you'll breathe it out onto the earth plane, bringing a change which helps ground and stabilize these beautiful ideas that you'll have into the world of matter. Now, I think what also happens is that this energy is bringing you messages, some news, some new ideas, some unexpected information, or even a surprise. I think you might uncover a secret or two. And I think he's also talking about new friends here, this angel. And travel is in the air as well. There's a new endeavor or project around here which is going to present itself to you. Now, your energy will be able to quickly change any anticipated plans. You'll be very adaptable, very fluid. Now, this can indicate a sudden change that brings a whole new way of life. It indicates a time when you need to communicate clearly, of course. And it goes without saying that anything involving the signing of contracts or important documents needs to be carefully scrutinized. Get someone who actually knows what they're doing to tell you what it means. Now, secrets are revealed here. I think you will find your true self and live by it. But there are also challenges being brought here. that create an opportunity for you, and there's a lot of healing and growth. Well, I hope you enjoy sexuality. And what do we have here in the card? Well, this is actually quite straightforward from an image point of view. Here we have the Six of Music, and it's talking about pleasure. But there are a number of people with someone in the middle there. In a nutshell, what this means is it's talking to me about union. This is a representation of the fact that we are all one. And of course, what we seek in relationship is because we come into Earth and we have duality. And in relationship, we seek unity, don't we? Now, this is the Sun ruling the second decan of Scorpio. Now, coincidentally, the number 6 that's there, that for me has an association of the Sun as well. So we have a double dose of the Sun here, because the Sun is in Scorpio and it's in the number 6. And a double Sun reveals what Scorpio wants to hide. Now, to be frank, this is about lust, pleasure in sexual relationships, a rich exchange of sexual and heart energy, and certainly emotional renewal. There's pleasure, indulgence, excitement, family support, maybe some meetings with family members and friends. But the pleasure here is completely harmonized, actually. Now, with Scorpio governing the card in the position that it's in there, well, pleasure there is planted in its most fertile soil, isn't it? This is, in fact, a preeminently fertile card. And if you don't want to have that fertility exercised, I should say, then you know what to do about it. This is an invitation for you to give yourself up to the richness of your own emotionality. Now, you may experience this as a jump into water, as the tingling anticipation of diving deeply, of disappearing, of letting go, rising to the surface. You are refreshed. This is the process of death and rebirth. The result of taking the risk is deep emotional purification and satisfaction. Now, the pleasure here must be understood in its highest sense, and it implies well-being, harmony of the natural forces without effort or strain for you, ease and satisfaction. Yet it also represents the fulfillment of the sexual will, and that's shown by the Sun being in Scorpio. Now, it may be the case. Now, incidentally, if you don't have a partner at the moment, you can still enjoy sexual pleasure. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But this feeling of pleasure that's coming here, now the emphasis is on sexuality, but it's not an uncontrolled sexuality. And the pleasure that's experienced here may well be experienced after what has been some hardship in the background, because this is very barren, it looks like, in the background to me. I think maybe what's also happening here is that you have been undergoing a period of healing and transformation, and the emphasis is on a relationship, or on the desire to have a relationship in which will improve both the individuals, where the whole is greater than the sum of the of the parts. Now, enjoy now all which life gives you. This is the best way to express your gratitude. Are you holding on to any old beliefs which prevent your enjoyment of pleasure? Enjoy your own physical and emotional wealth and share it with someone else. And say to yourself, I am now open to a partner with whom I can share the joys of love and sexuality on all levels. Now, let's see what's underneath it, and it is what? It is the Ace of Poetry. Oh, actually, I remember this painting actually from when I was a schoolboy in my last year of high school, and the English literature teacher having great enjoyment and enthusiasm in describing this as being the poet himself, William Blake, and this being a cherub descending down, and by way of inspiration, him being open to receive inspiration, but the inspiration was expressed as a complete exercise in all the ways and means of engaging and making use of sexuality. Now, I won't go into the different things that William Blake spoke of, because YouTube would probably collapse and the alarm bells would all start ringing. I'll say this, though, that the people important to you at this time are likely to be Virgo again, Cancer, or Leo. Certainly Virgo is important to you. This is speaking to me of a time when you'll have high and strong energy. You'll have gone through this period of transformation. There's a creative spark, and as we saw, there was a new project and a new start, which has been expressly spoken about earlier. There is a passionate union, which we have spoken about earlier. And how best can I say this? Your human vitality, your vital human life forces will be surging during this period. Now, all the securities and certainties that you've had are going to be improved upon during this period. Now, if all the obstacles are out of the way, renewal in all areas and levels of life takes place. The revitalizing power here fills your entire being with new light. Now, it is important for the free-flowing energies to have a creative outlet, and you can use this enormous energy here only if you have a goal towards which you can direct it. Now, the next step after releasing the blocks is to find the right framework in which to set this energy to work. I think this represents raw energy, but if it's applied wrongly, things can come off as being reckless or headstrong, so be careful that you don't do that. Now is a time that you are full of power and energy. Engage fully in discovering where and how you can use it. I also think that this is a time in your life when you have something of a breakthrough moment of insight, and you are inspired and motivated to move your life forward. There's a big opportunity coming up here. You have the possibility now of tapping into all of your unused potential. It's the perfect time to draw upon your imagination and make your dreams happen. Now, what attracts you the most? What attracts you to doing what you like doing the most? What gives you the most pleasure? And in what framework could you realize your dreams? Say this to yourself, because it is true to say at this time, particularly with Sagittarius starting in the end of November, I express my energy and power openly. Well, what a particularly fascinating spread of cards for you. Well done, you. Well, I told you that was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I think you'll agree with me that it was. And what a wonderful month it's going to be for you. Don't you deserve it? Really, you do. Do you know what? I love doing your readings. I look forward to seeing you each month, and in particular, look forward to seeing the subscribers. You're very, very dear to my heart. Well, I guess unless I see you privately, then I'll see you again next month. And until then, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.